Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I've got two replays in the newly tier 10 American Premium Tank Destroyer, the AAT-60. Now if you do like the video as always, don't forget to like and subscribe down below as it really does help out the channel. And yes, the AAT-60, it was a tier 9 and it's been moved up to be a tier 10 instead. And that's because generally this vehicle was just overpowered at tier 9. It was ridiculously good. Tier 7's never stood a chance. They could barely pen it, let alone actually compete with its DPM and all that good stuff as well. And in terms of the way it was near enough a tier 10 medium tank at tier 9, with how the statistics panned out. The only real thing that stops it being a medium tank, and it's still realistically true now it's a tier 10, was the accuracy during movement and rotation being so poor, meaning that when you move and stuff, the aim circle becomes absolutely massive. That's the general trend for tank destroyers, is they have poor accuracy during movement and rotation, and that separates them from being stuff like medium tanks. And it's still realistically true for the AAT-60 now, but like I say, when it was at tier 9, it was, in terms of its statistics, just a tier 10 tank at tier 9, which is, it was just bonkers, realistically. So they decided, okay, it's one of the ones that's got one of the highest win rates at tier 9 by a margin, a long margin. So you know what, we're going to stick it up at tier 10, and it should be a bit more balanced up there, and we'll change some of the statistics to make it more like a tier 10 in terms of stuff like the HP. And yeah, it's far more balanced here at tier 10. It's still a very competitive tank. It's still a fantastic tank to play. It's got the great armour, it's got the great camo, it's got the good view range, it's got the great mobility, it's got the lovely gun depression. As an all-round tank, it is absolutely fabulous to play, and it fits in perfectly at tier 10. So what did they do to the statistics of this vehicle then when they moved it up? Because they did buff some of the stuff, and that is that they buffed the gold value from 14,000 to 22.5k, which is moving it from a tier 9 gold price to a tier 10 gold price. So if you were to get the AAT-60 in a chest, naturally, it's going to give you 11,250 gold back, because you get the rubbish 50% gold back from those chests if it was to ever be in those. And if anyone wanted to buy this in the future, naturally, now it's tier 10, it'd be a lot more expensive. Which, yeah, you always want to wait for discounts if you're going to pick it up, because that is too much gold. But there we go. The HP went from 1650 to 1900, so it went from a tier 9 HP value to a tier 10. 380 meters of view range to 390, so you got a very good view range of 499 with the build that I run, which is lovely. Penetration went up from 251 on the standard APCR to 268, and the other two stayed the same. And the Velociraptor changed from 1450 meters a second to 1478 meters a second. And yes, you did hear me right, the Velociraptor. So, yeah, it got some buffs and some changes to move it up to that tier 10 that it is now sat at. And like I say, it is an absolutely fantastic tier 10 even though it's moved up from one tier to the next. But there you go. So, the AAT-60 has a 67 km/h top speed. With a 24 km/h reverse speed, 800 horsepower engine, is 18.6 horsepower per ton ratio. It flies to its top speed. It's a very, very mobile vehicle indeed. You've got 20% internal fire chance, which generally, I don't get set on fire that often in this vehicle, and it doesn't feel like it's a 20% internal fire chance. You've got 34 degrees a second on the hull rotation speed, so the tank does turn decently quickly on its tracks. Ground resistances of 1.93, 1.01 and 0.92 on soft, medium and firm are pretty decent. They don't hold the tank back in terms of getting to its top speed. You got 258 meters of still concealment with 273 meters of on-the-move concealment, which is really good for this vehicle, and it means you can stay really stealthy if you use bush cover and stuff like that. You can use aggressive bushes, go spotting, and if you pull back through the bush so that it's no longer see-through, you will be able to fire and not get spotted quite often in this tank. 499 meters of view range as well means you can spot for yourself really, really well, and will help you outspot your opponents at great distances. You've got 28.24 degrees a second on the turret rotation speed, which is actually pretty quick for a turreted tank destroyer. Usually it's very, very slow, but it's still slower than the tracks, so do bear that in mind. 1.24 accuracy during rotation with a 4.1 accuracy during movement is utterly atrocious, and it means that the aim circle becomes rather large after movement and rotation, as you're seeing here. Meaning you do have to wait for it to get aimed in to be able to hit your shots, because if you try and snap shots on the move, well, RNG is the thing. You can hit them. Generally, it's pretty poor at it because that aim circle is huge, because the accuracy during movement and rotation is just poor. And generally, that's what separates it from being a medium tank and makes it be that tank destroyer, because that's just all I say, that's the way that generally tends to be. Tank destroyers generally have accuracy during movement and rotation that is poor, and that means that they have to be more stationary at times to be able to hit those shots, or they have to wait for the aim time to go in. Otherwise, they're no different to medium tanks, right? Tanks like this especially. You've got 1.57 second aim time, though, which means that even though the aim circle blooms out hugely, you aim in so quickly, and it's lovely for that. The moment you stop and aim, your aim circle goes really small, really fast, and that is a fantastic aim time for this vehicle. 0.32 accuracy at 100 meters as well is fairly accurate. I say fairly accurate. 0.32 meters is accurate, but sometimes it can derp shots into the floor that you sit there going, oh, come on, tank, right? You know, one of those, but generally it's a very accurate gun. 10 degrees of gun depression means you're very, very flexible on a ridgeline, which is definitely lovely for the AAT-60, and really where it wants to be, because the turret armor is very, very good. While the hull armor is good, the turret armor is very, very good, and if you're using 10 degrees of gun depression, you can bounce quite a bit off of that turret. You've got 6.71 second reload, which is 3.7, nearly 3.8k DPM, which is pretty solid for the AAT-60. It means it can farm pretty hard very quickly. Not quite at the levels of some of the other tank destroyers that may have 850, where they're going up to 3.94k really quite easily, but I'd say 3.7 is actually more balanced than when you get up to 4k, because 4k is quite an unhealthy level for DPM, and that's how games go quite quickly. 268 pen on the standard APCR, with 325 penetration on the premium heat rounds, 53 pen on the HE, for 420 alpha and 540 on the HE is really, really nice, and you don't struggle to pen anything you'll face at tier 10. And with 1478 meters a second shell velocity on the standard APCR, that's fantastic velocity, meaning you don't have to give too much lead at distance to be able to hit your targets. But bear in mind, if you load the heat, you've got 1050 meters a second shell velocity, and you really do have to give a good amount of lead at distance to be able to hit your targets. It's above average, slightly, but it still means that when you're firing the heat, you will feel a massive difference in the gun handling between that and firing the APCR. And as it is a tier 10 premium, it doesn't really get any bonuses. So what do I run in terms of a crew and equipment to get those statistics for the AAT-60? Well, I run Born Leader, Rapid Reload, Sixth Sense, Situational Awareness, Camouflage Expertise, Silent Driving, Steady Aim, Snapshot, Run and Gun, the Advanced Loader, the Camo Net, and Optics. Optics to be able to get the 499 meters of view range, so I can spot for myself really, really well. That's the gun handling right there for you. Sometimes it does that. Yeah, the 499 meters of view range, so we can get the curtain optics for that. The Camo Net to get that fantastic 258 meters of still concealment, and the Advanced Loader to get the best out of the DPM. All three gun perks, because the accuracy during rotation and movement is just poor, so we want to help that out as much as we humanly can do, so that we can keep the aim circle down. And even though we've got a fast aim time, it still will take longer if the aim circle gets even huger than it already does, so we want to help that out with all three gun perks. And then the Silent Driving to get the accuracy during movement down as low as possible, or as close to this still concealment as we can. And the Camouflage Expertise, naturally, because, well, the camo is an asset for this vehicle, so we want to help that if we can. Plenty of ways you can set up the vehicle, though. It's really down to you and how you want to kit out the vehicle, as there's no real right or wrong way. It's always down to how you can get the most out of the tank. So we're here in this second replay, and that first replay ended pretty nicely. We got into a nice little bit of a brawl, showed what the tank is pretty capable of, to be honest, that you can farm up pretty hard. If you get caught out in the open, you get close range engagements. Sometimes your armor doesn't hold up quite as well, but if you hull down, it can go well. You can spot out, you can stay on spotted at points as well, and your DPM is just consistently pushing out damage. And we're on to this second replay here on this map, which is Empire... No, it's Great Wall. I keep doing that. It's not Empire's Border. That's PC. We're on Great Wall. And on Great Wall, what we want to do is go to this position here at H4. Because we've got the 10 degrees of gun depression, I can use this position really effectively and then try and farm up anyone that climbs this 4 line. And because we've got that fantastic 67 kilometers an hour top speed, we get here very, very quickly as well, which is fantastic for the AT-60, meaning we generally get here before most of their vehicles will ever climb this hill. And as you can see with the Centurion 7-1, we've completely caught them out, and we're basically just keeping them pinned and taking them out of this game before they can get into any effective place. But with the Bulldog focusing us down, and where the Centurion 7-1 was, I decided, you know what, I'm going to put a shot into the Bulldog, make him a one-shot, and then I can go after Mr. Centurion 7-1. They don't seem to be sending anyone up the hill, they seem to all be sitting down below. So, apart from gun elevation issues and my absolutely atrocious driving, well played me, we don't manage to actually get the shot into the Centurion 7-1, but we do get over to get a shot into the T-32A prototype. And now their team, and currently nothing is looking at us. We've not got a detector going off, except for the fact that that T-32A was looking at us, but we didn't have detected. Okay, whatever. But there's no detected, which makes me think, okay, there's no tank destroyers down at K7, which is generally something that happens. So with that in mind, I decide, okay, screw it. We're going to push aggressively. Since they've all pushed down the JK line, we can get up behind them and we can start farming away into their backsides and just get them caught in a pincer maneuver. Although, most of the team that went to the J1 area is now dead, so it's not really a pincer maneuver because they can just turn around. But we are behind them, and a lot of my team are here with us. So we're just being careful of the tank destroyers around the corner, because that XM57 it hurts generally, as you can already see. He took off a good 600 of my hit points. The XM gets shut down. We're now going to drive around, get the kill on this Griller if we can, and make sure we aim it properly. And there we go. We finish off Mr. Griller at 15. The AMX-65T is looking at us, so we're going to try and maneuver ourselves into the position where we RBRT the shot in to shut down that French Tier 8 heavy tank. So Mr. Chieftain Mark 6 is in a good position here. He's hull down. But if we use our 10 degrees of gun depression, we can get underneath him and try and track and pen him. So you can see the Chieftain doesn't really have any problem. He goes straight through our hull armor. But I'm trying to now limit what this guy can actually see, because if he goes through my, or if he goes for my upper plate, the likelihood is he'll probably bounce. If he goes for my lower plate, he'll probably pen it. So you can see I'm playing as close to this ridge line as possible. I'm trying to make it so that I'm playing within the limits of my gun depression, not overexposing, and I'm always going for that drive wheel of the Chieftain Mark 6, because I can track and pen him, I can damage his ammo rack, all that good stuff, and we can get rid of what is a fantastic tier 10 heavy tank. There's also been buffed recently with 440 Alpha, but I think that's actually taken something a little bit away from the Chieftain, because the Chieftain's reload was fantastic. Still is, the DPM is still pretty much the same on the Chieftain, but instead of being able to permatrack stuff now, it just has a slightly higher alpha, which it takes away a little bit from the Chieftain, but hey, I digress. We're up to 6,045 damage with 755 assistance. We know there's a tank destroyer pushing our heavy tank here at G4. So what I want to do is go push through, and by getting after that tank destroyer, we can also try and do what I expect the enemy team to do, which is push straight into our cap. So if we can get rid of the tank destroyer that's at F45, we can kill that and then push behind them as they attack our cap, because we've got a medium tank and 2 tank destroyers down there, so they should be able to defend that quite easily. And there we go, there's the ICU-152, and we end up finishing that guy off for our 5th kill of this game. I'm in an AAT-60. I've got mobility, I've got armor. You know what, I'm just going to go full aggression mode. There's only the 263 that's been spotted, and, oh, okay, goodbye, Mr. Iron Rain. I didn't expect the Iron Rain to be there, to be honest. That caught me off guard a little bit, but with getting rid of the Iron Rain, there's now only 3 tanks left on the enemy team. There's the medium tank, the 2 tank destroyers, and in fact, there they all are. We know exactly where they all are now. They're attacking our 2 medium tanks in the cap. So we are going to go as fast as we can and get up behind them and start farming them from behind. Because the longer we leave it, naturally, the more likely they are to kill our guys that are defending that cap, and then they'll just turn around and start shooting us. And the Ho-Re 3 is a pretty dangerous target because he's got fantastic penetration, he's got a high alpha, so we don't want to trifle with that guy if we can help it. Or should I say, where we're the only focus of his attention, we don't want that. So we got one shot into his back end, just looking for the shot into his lower plate, and at this point I'm going, yeah, I'm taking a hit here. But because he's had to turn himself to our teammates, it means that he's getting shot in the back. He actually, he hit the BZ-176 on the move and finished him off, but we managed to finish him off for our 7th kill. I'm expecting the Foch to now have fired all his clip, because he was firing at the medium tank. He's coming chasing after us though, rams us, tracks himself, we get tracked, and I'm thinking, well, I've still got all the time in the world to farm this guy, because he's going to be reloading. But in fact, he's actually still got shells in his clip. So we get up as close as possible to be able to try and bounce him, and there we go. I think he's actually out of rounds now. Aiming for that weak point, last tank on the team, and we finish him off for our 8th kill of this game with 755 assistance, 9,086 damage, and that's the AAT-60. Now it's a tier 10. Like I say, it's still a fantastic tank destroyer at tier 10. You've still got the good DPM, still got the good gun handling, still got the good depression, you've still got the fantastic mobility, the camo, all that good stuff. It's still a fantastic tank, even though it's been moved to tier 10, and you can still have a lot of fun with it. So as always, everybody, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
A great success!